After a long all-star break, the Kings are back on the home floor, taking on a Blazers team that had major playing issues. Then they decide, all right, because of those playing issues, we're not playing Dame or Jeremy Grant, already without Anthony Simons, Nurkic, Winslow. What was going to be happening tonight should be an easy Kings win. Didn't get off to a great start, but the Kings handled business after a sloppy first quarter. They start the right way with a 133-116 home victory over the Portland Trail Blazers, and history was made tonight. Domantas Sabonis, his 7th triple-double of the season, surpassing Chris Webber and Rondo for the most ever in a season by a member of the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah!
I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. How are you, Mo?
I'm really good now. Really good. So happy we get to light the beam. We got a fog machine. We reached a podcast goal of ours with subs. It's a great evening.
Yeah, for the audio people, we reached 10,000 subs on YouTube, which is a number we've been chasing for a long time. Shout out to everyone who helped make that possible. Also, we did have a fog machine that in the pre-show had the smoke detector go off. So,
yeah,
you know, it's a little challenging when you have a small studio space to put a huge fog machine, I guess. Cool. I didn't think that one through all the way.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
But it looks cool.
It did.
I mean, look. Well, it's still here. It's still here.
Still lingering in our lungs, in this room, in this space. Well done.
Well, Morgan, this was a weird game. Just a weird day. Portland was trying to leave yesterday. They end up being on the tarmac for 7 hours. And then some of their guys had to drive home. Some, it took like a couple hours to get home. Then they had to meet at the airport to fly out day of game, which always presents challenges for a team. They met at the airport like 9 o'clock in the morning, but they didn't take off until nearly 1:30 this afternoon for like a 90-minute flight to Sacramento. That's tough. It's not the first team in NBA history to do something like that. They already shorthanded without Simons, without Nurkic, without Winslow. Then Chris Haynes puts out this afternoon just before 2 o'clock like, hey, Dame's not playing tonight. And neither is Jeremy Grant. We're going, okay, the Kings just have to take care of business. They did just that. Before we get to the actual game, I was very surprised that the Blazers decided to do this. My theory on this was...
Oh, you have a theory?
Yeah, because Dame was at the game tonight. Dame was sitting on the bench.
And then he was signing autographs after the game.
Great guy. Love Dame.
Yeah.
One of my favorite players of all time. They don't play again until Sunday at home against the Houston Rockets. They listed Dame as out due to rust. My theory on this was the Blazers wanted this game postponed because of the travel issues. The league was like, nah, you can get there, go play. And once the league said, no, we're not rescheduling this game, they went, okay, we're going to sit Dame and Jeremy Grant. I think it was a petty thing by the Blazers, which surprised me a little bit because they need to win games.
Yeah.
They got to win games to get back in the mix in the NBA's Western Conference. They pretty much punted this game tonight against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
What do you think about my theory?
Your theory, I don't think is wild. You know, I don't think it's probably not far off. I think the pettiness behind it just hurts the Blazers. And we've talked about this. Not only have there been other teams in the past that have dealt with this type of crap and it happens and then you play through it. But I look at like the WNBA. These are professional players and they have to go through way worse circumstances and they get through it. And what do? Oh, they play the game. That's what I found so weird about this situation because it was very doable to still play whether you were going to be tired or not. Not to, again, we were going to factor in the tired factor.
It's 100% a factor no matter what,
Out of
especially for
routine
those
factor.
guys that
Yeah.
ended up playing tonight,
Yes.
right? Like, you're completely out of routine. I must say, someone in our Discord just threw a message that kind of got my attention. Not that one. It says the fog machine is hype, but it's actually bad for you in small areas. Maybe keep the door and window open. It should be okay. Okay.
Let's open that.
I'm opening up the window.
Just in
You're
case
right. You're right. I don't want to die.
Like, what? Yeah, what are we doing, huh? There we go. Freezing cold. I love this idea. Great idea, Deuce.
But yeah, I mean, it totally throws off your routine because typically if you're coming into town the night before a game, you get a morning shoot around in at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., maybe get a nap before the game, get back to the arena at 3:30 or 4. I mean, when you land like the Blazers did at like 3:30 or whatever it was, nearly 4 o'clock, you're all out of routine. So that's tough. There's no denying it. The Kings also had the same situation last year.
Yeah.
Similar. They weren't able to leave New Orleans, ended up traveling day of game to San Antonio. They went and won that game. And then I brought up one. The 06-07 season was insane. The Kings, on the second half of back-to-back, had plane issues going to take on the Denver Nuggets, had to land in Colorado Springs, bus in, showed up 90 minutes before tip-off. It was actually Allen Iverson's first game as a member of the Denver Nuggets. Kings go to Denver, win that game behind John Salmons, who had a triple-double. Kind of weird. It's crazy. And that's why this game, before we knew Dame wasn't going to play, still concerned me because teams can rally together in these moments.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something I was a little worried about. Like, hey, you get inspired by something else. Something else just motivates you, right? And we've seen how the Kings have played being well rested at times. It's been confusing throughout the year, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But I thought maybe that because of all these things factoring in, the Blazers didn't have their main guys, that the Kings would come out super strong. It was going to be a strong first quarter, a strong beginning, and it was the complete opposite.
Oh, it was beyond the complete opposite. The Blazers end up leading this game 19-4 at the 7:17 mark of the first quarter. What is going through your mind at this point?
Oh, I am thinking very bad things because I'm like, the Kings came in not locked in, not ready like I wanted them to. They came in like they were about to play a team that was Dameless, that was Jeremy Grantless, that just landed in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, and teams talk about this. Sometimes that first game after the All-Star break, you're just kind of out of routine and rhythm, so maybe you're a little sloppy. I felt like they missed some good shots, and then defensively, there were just too many breakdowns. So, wait, you're missing shots, missing a ton of threes. They're getting out in transition, exposing you in pick and roll situations. It got ugly. But what I liked, obviously, is the response. And they were able to close the gap after that.
Yeah.
It took them a while to get the lead. In fact, they didn't have their first lead until late in the second quarter at the 2:27 mark. But then they led the rest of the way.
Yeah. And you look at the way that they got to that moment at the 2:27 mark. I love seeing them fight through adversity. You know how hard it is to play when you're down, to come back up? It doesn't matter if the other team is practically a G League team. They're in the NBA.
Right.
They're NBA players. Doesn't matter that they're a bad defense. You also don't have the greatest defense in the world. So what that means, they have to change their mentality. They have to face the challenges and keep working their way back up, playing better basketball than the way that they started. And that's exactly what they started doing. They started locking in, doing a better job, navigating around screens, attacking the zone, just focusing so much more on what was at hand.
Yeah, so after that ugly start where they were down 19-4, it ended up being 37-29 after the first quarter, Portland on top. And I felt like there was a couple of nice sequences in that game. It was one, Terrence Davis coming in, and I felt like he gave them a little punch, right? He gave them a nice lift, and then Lyles had that buzzer beater to close the gap at the end of the first. Like, okay, clean some stuff up, and you should be fine. I thought the second quarter, they just came out punched. They started throwing punches a little bit. They end up closing the second quarter on a 16-2 run. I just felt like Fox came out really aggressive in that second quarter. I thought, in general tonight, De'Aaron Fox is playing at such a high level. His fifth straight 30-plus point game, he's never played better basketball in his career.
No.
And it's what he's doing defensively.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken upon himself, like, let's go. He's also had trouble in years past going up against Matisse Thybulle. There is no issue tonight for De'Aaron Fox. He got anything and everything he wanted. It wasn't just in the mid-range. How about some of his attacks at the rim?
That's it. I mean, we talked about this earlier on our daily show with a guy named Combo, who is a former professional player, is just a hooper, right? The way that he breaks down guys' games. And we were talking about De'Aaron being a different tier of player and how he's right there to start being identified as that in this league. Obviously, that's going to come with more wins, more winning seasons, or let's just get some winning seasons under the belt to move in that direction. But when you're a guy in this league and you can point to a spot and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm telling you where I'm going to go and I'm still going to make the shot over you. You're at a different level. De'Aaron Fox is at that level right now. The way that he changes his speed in every motion that he has on the floor, that baseline reverse on the right side.
That was disgusting. When he was in the corner and attacked. Yeah.
Yes. I know. It's beautiful. Basketball porn, baby.
31 points for him. He missed 4 shots, 11 for 15 shooting. He knocked down 2 of 4 from downtown, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. I think that's one of my most exciting things with Fox lately is, again, we may have to go back and double check, but I feel like ever since he's been named an all-star, his free throw attempts have been like 8 or higher. All of a sudden, he's getting calls. I know that we always joke about, hey, once you're an all-star, you get those calls a little bit. He got one call tonight on that drive. Who was defending him? Was it...
when he threw him off?
I'm trying to remember who that was. Was it Keon Johnson or Reddish?
Okay.
But, man, did he lower that shoulder a little bit? But that's what I want. Like, down the stretch of the season, we know it's going to be super competitive. In fact, the Kings play a really tough game tomorrow night against the Clippers on the road. They played with some physicality. Like, after that first quarter, it was like, especially late in the second quarter, they're getting the paint touches. HB had a nice take and one. Fox was getting to the basket. It looked really nice.
De'Aaron was going into guys' chests, but then we already know how physical Sabonis can be, but you saw him get even a little bit more physical, not just down low, but the way that he was setting a pick or having that dribble handoff. He was just a brick effing wall, knocking guys to the ground, but not even allowing them to find a way or space to fight through and get over it. Like, he just created so much space for whatever offensive player that he was setting the screen for or having the dribble handoff with. Just incredible job with the physicality as the game kept going.
And your other stud, the big fella, Domantas Sabonis, triple-double.
This guy
His 7th triple-double.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I was just emphasizing.
It's okay. I was just making sure. You can't be mad. There's a fog machine.
You get highlights in your hair, and now you think you can call me out like that.
Can't I?
I'll be honest. I was transitioning because I saw something, and I was like, okay, she'll finish this, and I was going to.
It's fair.
And it's my bad.
No, it's okay. Hey.
We were talking about Fox. You transitioned to Sabonis. I didn't hear it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. No, it's not. See, here's the thing with us, Morgan, and you. The people listening to the audio later, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Deuce, that's kind of rude. You're not listening."
Thank you.
If I'm sitting here looking at the wall. I'm changing screens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing with things. I'm seeing tweets that come in. I'm like, I gotta acknowledge that chat. You know, when you're the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I'm the quarter and the point. I'm reading everything.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
No, it's okay.
It sure sounds like it's okay.
No, it's good. Hey.
What?
It's all good.
Oh, that is so mean.
10K.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Now, you know what? You guys are fair. You guys are getting on me, and that's fair.
Deuce turnover.
I appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to say this. We have well over 400 people watching us live. Hit the thumbs up button. We should be at like 350 thumbs up. It just helps the channel grow. Thank you to Kid Chris, who donated multiple times tonight. Appreciate that. 10 also donated. You guys are insane. Kid Chris, you've donated a lot tonight.
Oh my God.
Appreciate you.
Thank
I can't
you.
add up everything. Appreciate everyone who's becoming members. And of course, on Twitch, we appreciate Ranger gifting more subs on Twitch.
Yeah.
You guys are literally the best. All right. So I want to bring up Sabonis because you didn't bring him up.
Correct.
Right? Sabonis tonight, triple-double, 18 points, 18 rebounds, 10 dimes, 3 steals. Also won the Defensive Player of the Game chain tonight.
Ooh.
With those rebounds, the steals. 7th triple-double this year. The most by any Kings player in franchise history in one season. What do you think about Sabonis' game, even though you highlighted some of it and I wasn't listening?
And so going back to kind of what I was highlighting was just the physical play, because we were talking about how the whole team got more and more physical. But what led to so many of these numbers in those rebounding numbers for Domantas Sabonis was truly the way that he was being physical on the inside and the outside. I love the energy, the joy, that he brings. What about that one play that he had when it was going down the floor? He was going down the floor.
It would have been the highlight of the
around
year.
the back, then goes behind the back pass to Keegan,
who missed the three.
Beyond the arc, who missed the three. But it was just one of those moments where you're like, holy shit, Domantas Sabonis is him.
Sabonis sometimes, and that was a great example of it. When he's pushing, I like when he pushes, but sometimes when he over dribbles, you're like, you're going to turn the ball over.
Get a little nervous.
Tough behind the back dribble. He was able to control it and then go behind the back again to Keegan.
Dude, he just gets better and better. And the way that he did it, it wasn't like, you know, when sometimes you see a big and it's like, oh, that was lucky. He does it with a hard dribble, with authority, with confidence, gets it there, knows what he's doing. I loved what we saw from the big fella tonight.
I thought the other fun sequence with Sabonis tonight in that fourth quarter when Malik Monk got it going. Monk was great tonight. So was TD. We got to talk about both those guys. But that Monk-Sabonis two-man game in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my.
They have a nice connection. I know Sabonis connects with a lot of guys, but they seemingly have a really strong connection.
Yeah, just the flow and the feel for where they're both going to be on the floor. It doesn't matter if it's just a bounce pass that is leading another guy to the rim down the lane, or it's throwing it up because you know you can oop it up to them. It's beautiful what they have growing. It's fun, dude. It's fun style of basketball, something we've been talking about with a lot of guests lately on the Daily Show. And it's watching fun basketball that is translating into W's as well. What else can you say? It's so freaking fun right now.
Yeah, and you just need to handle business against teams like this. I know you had the bad first quarter where you allowed 37 points, but after that, the Kings outscored Portland 104-79. Right? It just, once they got the lead and it was at double digits, you went, oh, they're going to keep this.
Yeah.
And the fact that Sabonis played the most minutes tonight and it was at 31, that's huge, especially on the second night of a back-to-back. It's like you had great balance with your minutes, and it's helpful that you can do that not only because you had the lead, but because the bench was going. Like we mentioned Monk with his 15 points and what he was able to do in the fourth quarter. I mean, Terrence Davis tonight. And Terrence Davis, I feel like we've given him a lot of love lately because he's been a guy that's been out of the rotation. And, you know, Mike Brown's hard on him because he does make some mistakes out there. It can be a little chaotic sometimes.
Yes.
There could be some defensive miscues. TD's good, man. And for the Kings to have a weapon like him off the bench, a guy that, again, has been out of the rotation and then can come in and give you 20 points.
Wild. Okay, here's my thing with some of these players like that. When you're known as the stay ready guy, there's always going to be a role for you in this league. But I always wonder, do these guys also kind of feel like, what else do I need to prove? I stay ready. I produce when you ask me to, in the amount of time or the chances I get to prove I can do something. Terrence Davis, I know he's had his bad games, but he's not the only player that has like streaky times on the floor. I think sometimes because he plays with a little bit more chaos, it can worry a coach. It can deflate a team. But at the same time, you give him the chance and you coach him right, he'll stay disciplined and do what you tell him.
I think it's safe to say he's back in right now. I mean, he's strung it together, and now it's 4 straight games with 18 or more minutes. Tonight, he played 18 minutes, 24 seconds. He gave him 20 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3, went to the free throw line 5 times, knocked down 4 of them. He had an impact out there. And, like, yeah, you're not going to expect 20 points every night, but I think what Mike Brown's looking for with Terrence Davis is like, hey, if you're out there, we need you to be aggressive offensively, but you need to do the right things defensively.
Yeah.
You know, you can't.
Yes.
There's sometimes he falls asleep out there, and he's not the only Kings player, right? I think sometimes when you watch this Kings team, I rarely watch this team this season, even when they make defensive miscues and go, oh, they're not giving effort. I think sometimes the effort's there. I think sometimes it's just bad matchups. I think other times it's ball watching. It's what I've said before, like, Mike Brown's taking an offensive-minded group for the most part and trying to get them into better habits defensively.
As a team. Right?
And you're seeing I highlight some of the numbers today, right?
Yeah.
The first half defensive rating versus the second half. The Kings
Night
in
and
the
day.
first half of games this season headed into tonight were 25th in defensive rating. In the second half, they're 13th in defensive rating. In the fourth quarter, they're 9th in defensive rating. So you know what they can do offensively. In the second half, they're even better offensively. They're number 2 in offensive rating in the second half of games with a 13th defensive rating. And then I mentioned the 9th in defensive rating in the fourth quarter. They're number 2 in offensive rating in the fourth quarter. That's winning basketball. If you can string it together for longer stretches, it's cleaning it up. And again, we talk about the first half, right? That 37 points in that first quarter is what we're talking about. It's trying to be locked in from the start, not letting missed shots impact you defensively.
Sidebar. You know.
The window?
No.
Oh, what?
You just remembered all those numbers, all those stats that you had in front of you earlier today when you were talking about them, and you remembered them in the correct order. I'm going to give you some love there. That was really impressive. Congratulations.
If you're in the chat and you're impressed that I remembered all those numbers from my noggin, give me a hell yeah.
Give me a hell
Just
yeah.
take. No. Leave that open. Feeling a little nosh, you know? A little nauseous. That's what it is from the fog machine. Deuce, when you break down some of those numbers you just presented with what they've been doing in the first quarter compared to the fourth quarter defensively, and then what their offense seems to be showing when they're playing better defense late in a game, it's just better. How many times do you hear coaches and people that break down basketball allow your defense to help dictate your offense and gain that energy from defense? Because defense is so much effort. There's so much you have to do together as a team that only creates a great synergy and chemistry going down the floor the other way on the offensive end. And you're seeing that happen more and more with this Sacramento Kings squad. Now, I think over time, if you want this to be sustainable because your defense still is not good enough for postseason defense, you're going to have to make tweaks to your roster to have better long-term to have better individual defenders, maybe more size, however you want to look at it. But right now, what you do have, you've guys willing and wanting to learn and be disciplined and do things together. And that's why it's just important for guys like Terrence Davis, who is not the most incredible individual defender, but to make sure that he's locked in defensively every single possession down, because that one fundamental time that he's either ball watching or not closing out and he's a step behind or not a step over to be in help to rotate over, those are the times Mike Brown's going to be like, nope, short leash, you're done.